Hitler took Eukodal. This is like the heaviest, most euphoric making opioid. He shot like 20 milligrams intravenously. Are you crazy? You don't realize what this means? Like the problem with Hitler's drugs was the writing of Morel, who shot him these drugs, his personal physician, is a bit hard to read. Like most doctors, handwriting is hard to read for some reason. They kind of hide. They want to hide stuff all the time. Like it's hard to read. And the Americans who investigated his papers, they misread Eukodal. They thought it's Encadol, which doesn't exist. So it was just, that's how it was, filed, but it was never examined. So when I found this, I didn't know what is Eukodal, I just found it, and I also showed it to Alex, my friend, the DJ, who told me first about Nazis and drugs, because he became like an advisor, because he's such a knowledgeable guy on history and on drugs. He's like the perfect, actually like a Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson situation. Yeah. And he's like, Eukodal, are you insane? Hitler took Eukodal. This is like the heaviest, most euphoric making opioid. He shot like 20 milligrams intravenously. Are you crazy? You don't realize what this means? So that's, thanks to Alex at this point.
And what was Eukodal?
Well, that's the oxycodone. That was the drug that defined Hitler, basically.
Oh.
That was his favorite drug. Yeah.
Is that the drug that he first took before that famous meeting with Mussolini?
Yeah,
and he wanted to pull out of the...
Yeah, that was like in July 1943 or something.
Right.
Mussolini wanted to kind of leave the war because it was not looking so good for the axis of evil. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to become like neutral, and Hitler hated that idea. But and so he was very nervous before the meeting. And Morel describes him as depressed. So it's like he was like depressed, and he was like not really happening. He didn't. And as the Führer, you can't be depressed. I mean, that was also John F. Kennedy's problem. He was suffering from depression, and as the U.S. president, you can't be depressed. I mean, maybe you can say, sorry, American people, I'm depressed today. I don't want to take any big decisions.
Right.
I hope everything's going to be cool. But Kennedy didn't do that, so he was taking medicine. Same, obviously, for Hitler. Mm-hmm. So before that meeting with Mussolini, he was taking Eukodal for the first time, and intravenously, because I think Morel tried to keep that a bit away from Hitler, because he was realizing once Hitler tastes those opioids, it's not going to stop. Which is then exactly what happened. So Morel was in the difficult position of having to administer these opioids like on a regular basis, kind of making his patient, who's also the leader of Germany, into an addict, which he must have known, or, because Hitler wanted these opioids. And when he wanted them, he just wanted them. He didn't want to argue, You can't argue with Hitler about anything, especially not about when he wants his opioids.
Right.
So Morel just gave him the opioids. So it's an interesting Hitler biography that's kind of enclosed in this blitzed book.
So Morel, what was his first name?
Theo
Morel?
Theo Morel.
How much would you say how much literature was there on him that you had to read?
I mean, first of all, when I researched where that stuff was, and that's in one archive in Koblenz in Germany, the Federal Archive. And then I went there, and I could see the history of recent checkouts of this material of Theo Morel, the personal physician of Hitler.
Yeah.
And it had only been checked out 3 times since the end of the war or something.
Wow, really?
So no one actually thought of doing what I did. And
Which is
wild.
I
thought that would be standard for a historian,
Right.
Because Morel played a very important role. He was with Hitler all the time. They were close, very close buddies, and
you wouldn't leave home without him.
Not really, because eventually he's your dealer, because he injects you with a very strong opioid into your vein, every other day. So that becomes a very important person to you,
Yeah.
So without this Morel story, you can't really understand the Hitler story, I would say.
That's fascinating.
Actually, there's some stuff I left out which concerned Hitler's shit. Hitler's shit is examined by this doctor, and like there's like tons of writings about it, and what's in there, and is it bad for him? Was it good for him? And
his shit.
Yeah, it was always like sent to a certain lab in Bavaria, even during the war. It was like a special courier.
Why did they do that?
Because the Führer had to be healthy. So it was all about the health. You know, Heil Hitler also means health to Hitler. So it was like the health, the status of this person's health was kind of the status of the whole, so-called Third Reich.
Interesting. He was a vegetarian, wasn't he?
Well, I mean, I discovered that he had basically 3 drug phases, which was 36 to 41, mostly like vitamins and harmless stuff. And 41 to 43, he used a lot of animal concoctions, like pig's liver extract injected, and thyroid glands extract that he used. Like, he became a bit crazy because Morel was like inventing new medicines. Morel had his own pharmaceutical company. So he was like inventing stimulants, like you take something from the animal, it could be a stimulant, you know. So he was using a lot of animal products, basically. I don't know if you could technically call that a vegetarian. He didn't eat meat orally.
It wasn't in his diet, but he was blasting it into his veins.
yeah. So he's like even more of a, like, I don't know if he realized this, that technically speaking, I think he's not a vegetarian. So that I also uncovered this, by the way, that he's not a vegetarian, but only through your help, because I didn't even think about it anymore.
That's so weird that they were studying his shit and sending off his shit to labs to see how.
If I would shoot a movie on the Third Reich or on Blitz, that Blitz is not a movie. It is very strange to me. That's because that's like it has a lot of good scenes, and one of them would be, you know, the shit moving through the front lines and moving all across Germany, and then being examined by the German scientists, and reports are written, which are now in the archive and
on Hitler's poop.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, shit was a big part of the movement. I mean, it's a brown movement.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It must have a fascination with shit.
That famous video of him at the Olympics, I think in like 36, I think it was, where he's like gyrating back and forth. What was he on in that video? Do you know?
Well, I studied Morel's writings, and Morel's writings are very extensive. Like almost about every day he writes like how Hitler looked, and not only how the shit was, what he said, how his skin, the color of his skin. Like, he writes a lot, but he doesn't mention this thing. So I kind of think it looks a bit unnatural.
It looks sped up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think
it's definitely sped up.
I think it's not natural. My research actually would say that this is a fake video, because at the time Hitler had no problems. He was very healthy. He was also younger looking.
How old was he here? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head. But he was pretty young. But
in his 30s?
He looks older in this. He doesn't. Something's off with this, but that's just my gut feeling.
What do you mean is off? How do you think it's fake?
Just the movement doesn't seem natural. I think I think it was done by a director.
Oh, really? Interesting. So someone staged this and recreated it.
I think it's digitally manipulated to look this way. Maybe he was moving a bit, and maybe there's a way to kind of speed that up. But
they definitely sped it up. You can tell by the guys in the background how they're moving their arms.
Maybe he was nervous and doing like this, but if you speed that up, it looks already weird. So for me, this video is nothing, basically.
Maybe he's just got to pee really bad.
Maybe, yeah.
That's kind of what I do when I have to pee.
I have some insight on the sped up
stuff. Hang on, Steve. Can you see when this video was uploaded, by the way?
Oh, this one is
3 years ago. Okay, yeah, it could have easily been faked. What do you think? What's your video analysis on this one, Steve-O?
Film cameras back in the day, if they were cheap or small or portable, they were hand crank, which means that the speed of the film going through it is dictated by your hand movement. And so when you play that back on a machine that plays it back at 24 frames a second, it's typically sped up. You're not gonna speed. Your speed is never gonna be as consistent or as fast as a machine. And you'll see that a lot with like the Charlie Chaplin videos and stuff.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
That's why the old black and white stuff looks sped up.
So 36 was before he was really experimenting hardcore with drugs.
Yeah, that's when he met Morel.
That's when he met him in 36.
Yeah, so he was basically on nothing.
Huh.
Yeah, but he could still, behave oddly. Who knows? He's an odd guy. But he was on nothing in 36. At least Morel doesn't write about it. Maybe he gave him something, but it's a slow increase of... Maybe methamphetamine wasn't invented yet, so also he wasn't on meth.
It wasn't invented yet?
No.
Was Coke invented yet?
Yeah.
When was Coke invented?
I don't know. We would have to look at when, like, for example, Merck patented Coke, but that was older. Methamphetamine was patented in October 37.
1856 by a German chemist, Friedrich Geitsche.
The Germans invented all the drugs, of course.
The Germans invented everything.
Just drugs and cars.
And time machines and spaceships. Flying saucers apparently came from them too.
Rockets, yes.
Yeah, rockets.
Jet engines.
Isolated active ingredient from the coca leaf. How crazy is it? The coca leaf is illegal. It's illegal to own a coca leaf in the United States of America.
Yeah, I landed once in an airport in Cusco, Peru, and I was given a coca tea as a welcome present, so I could like deal with the elevation.
Yeah, they use it for.
It was pretty cool. At the airport, you drink a.
How crazy is that, right? For altitude sickness, it's
I think it's actually quite healthy, the coca leaf.
Yeah,
but
it's just like a stimulant. It's like a normal stimulant. Yeah. But we're not allowed to have it here because we might mix it with gasoline and other chemicals and try to produce fucking cocaine.
Yeah.